Hey guys, it's Cassera, and today I'm going to be doing my October TBR. So for the month of October, I have a very ambitious TBR. I've been reading a lot recently, like a lot. So I decided to put some of my bigger books on my October TBR, which I'm pretty excited about. So in the month of September, I read a lot more sci-fi than I typically do, and I really enjoyed reading that much sci-fi. So I kind of want to do the same thing in October, but instead of with sci-fi, I'm going to read a lot more mysteries, thrillers, and horror novels. I'm counting those all as one category because I really don't read a whole lot in general of those, but I recently read At the Mountains of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft and ended up really enjoying it. So I'm hoping to read kind of more of those types of books in the month of October. So my goal for October is to read more of those books than fantasy books, which is gonna be hard because I read tons and tons of fantasy. So we'll see how that goes. Now on to my goals. If you've been following my channel for a while, then you know I have monthly goals to read one classic, one sci-fi, one historical fiction, one mystery or thriller novel, and one book over 700 pages. So for my classics this month, I'm gonna read The Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft. I think that's how you pronounce it. I may be completely wrong with that. This is actually just a collection of some of his stories. The first story in this is At the Mountains of Madness, which I said I've already read. So the second book in that is The Call of Cthulhu. I definitely want to read more of his stuff, so that's the next one that I'm gonna read in October, and I'm pretty excited for it. By the way, in case you guys are wondering, this is the Lifetime Libraries edition, and this is sold by Books A Million, which I'm a member for, and I love their little classic books like this, so that's why I ended up getting this one. So for my sci-fi book, I want to read Seveneves by Neal Stephenson. This is a pretty big chunker as well, which I've recently got into sci-fi more, and I really wanted to get to this in September, and I didn't get around to it because it doesn't really fit any of the goals for the readathon that I was doing in September, and it's so big that I didn't want to just pick it up randomly. But I've been really interested in this one because it starts with the moon blowing up, which just I don't know what's gonna happen after that, but it sounds amazing and I'm really excited for it. For my historical fiction novel, I decided to finally pick up Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follet. I've heard so many great things about this novel and this series in general, and I'm really excited for it. I don't know what it's about. But I've heard that the world building in this novel, even though it's historical fiction and not fantasy or anything like that, I've heard that it's really good, and I'm really excited to get to it. So for the mysteries and thriller novel, since I'm gonna be reading a ton of thrillers and horrors, I decided to choose just a straight up mystery novel for this category, and I decided to choose The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. I've been meaning to pick up this series for a while. I've had it on my shelf. I really want to read more of her writing, and I know this is not magical or anything. It's just a regular mystery novel, so I'm excited for it. I don't read a whole lot of mystery. I feel like this is a good place to start for me with mystery. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I'm hesitant about this one because I don't want to hate it. All I know is that it's mystery. Like I said, I don't know very much about this other than it's the first novel in a series of mystery novels. We'll see how that goes. And for my book over 700 pages, I'm planning on picking up Words of Radiance by Brent and Sanderson. This is the second book in the Stormlight Archives. I'm currently reading, and hopefully will finish before the end of September, The Way of Kings, which is the first book in the Stormlight Archives, which is really good so far, and I'm really excited to get to book 2 because every time I mention that I'm currently reading Way of Kings, everyone else's immediate response is, Words of Radiance is the best book I've ever read, or it's my favorite book in the series. So I'm just I'm so excited to finally get to this one because everyone seems to love it. Really love it, and I'm super excited for it. Also, I love being in this fantasy world. It's so good, and I'm excited to continue on. So before I get to all of the horror and thriller novels that I'm gonna try and read in October, I'm gonna talk about a few more novels that I've been wanting to read for a while, and I definitely want to try and get to in the month of October. So the first one is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. So this is the sequel to The Poppy War, also by R.F. Kuang. I read The Poppy War last year. I really loved it, and I'm really excited to continue on with this series. I've heard The Dragon Republic is just action all the way through it, and I'm super excited for it. I've had this book on hold since it came out. So it came out, I want to say sometime in September, maybe August. It might have been in August that it came out, and I've had it on hold in my library since then. So I'm really excited because I should be getting it in like 2 weeks time, and I'll be able to read it in October, and I can't wait. So the next book I'm hoping to pick up in the month of October is The Burning White by Brent Weeks. This one is coming out in October. It's coming out on October 22nd. It's the 5th book in the Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks, which I have read pretty much all this year, and I really love this series, and I'm really hoping the 5th one is really good. Like, I'm hoping that it's amazing. I have a feeling it's gonna be amazing, but that's how I always feel about these books. I have not pre-ordered it because I don't want the hardcover because I have the paperbacks of all the other books in the series, so I really want the paperback. So I want to wait to buy it until the paperback comes out, but I want to read it right away. So I'm hoping that my library gets it and I can listen to the audiobook when it comes out, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I might end up buying it. I may. Yeah, I know, but it might happen, and I'm pretty excited about it. The next book that I'm going to be picking up is Blood of Elves by Andrej Sapkowski. This is the first novel in the Witcher series, which I'm super excited for. I've read the 2 short story collections over the last 2 months, and I've really loved it so far, and I'm super excited for where this is going, because Sword of Destiny, the last one, left off in a really interesting place, and I'm super excited to see where this is going. I love the author's writing style in this one so far. I've really loved the world building, so I'm excited to continue on with it. I'm also going to be buddy reading this with Alyssa from Pages and Ink, so I'm pretty excited for that also. The next book that I plan to get to in the month of October is Gemina by Amie, Kaufman, and J. Kristoff. This is the 2nd book in the Illuminae files. Last month I read Illuminae, and surprisingly, I ended up really liking it more than I was expecting to, which is why I ended up buying Gemina, because just the style and everything of the series, I want to continue reading it in the physical form. I might borrow the audiobook and follow along a little bit just to see if I like the audiobooks, and then if I like the audiobooks, I'll probably read Obsidio on audio, but I don't know, we'll see. I'm excited for this one. I really liked where the last book left off. It left off on an interesting, not really cliffhanger, but an interesting reveal, and I'm excited to continue on with it. And I don't get excited for YA that often. I don't get excited for sci-fi that often, so I figured this was a good one to continue on with, since I'm actually pretty excited about it. And the last book that I'm going to talk about before we get to my thrillers and horror novels that I really want to get to is The Throne of Five Winds by S.C. Emmett. So this book is actually coming out in October, on October 15th. I was able to get an e-arc of this from NetGalley, which I'm super excited for. It's the first book in a new adult high fantasy series, and it's following a character that is the lady-in-waiting to a princess of a kingdom that has basically been taken over, and she is stuck in the court of the emperor now, and she kind of has to navigate through the politics. So I'm excited for some good political intrigue. I love a good political intrigue high fantasy, so I'm pretty excited for this one, and hopefully I'll end up liking it because I believe it's a pretty long book, and I'm gonna be reading the ebook of it, which is not my favorite, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so for the rest of these are all audiobooks that I'm borrowing from my library, and these are all the thrillers and horror that I'm trying to get to in the month of October. There's a lot of them, so let's get to this. The first one is Something Wicked This Way Comes by Bradbury. I don't know anything about this book. It's kind of like a classic horror, and Ray Bradbury's an author that I want to read more of. Last year I read Fahrenheit 451 by him, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see more by him. This is the next book by him that I've been meaning to read, so I'm definitely excited to get to it. The next book I'm hoping to get to in the month of October is Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Hardy. So most people know this from the movie, obviously, because it's a serial killer psychological thriller. I've heard really great things about it. I actually know the entire storyline of it because I've been spoiled for the entire storyline of it, but I've never actually read the book, and I really do want to read the book, so I'm gonna be reading the book in October, and hopefully I'll love it as much as everyone else does. The next book that I'm hoping to pick up in October is The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. So this book, I didn't really know anything about it until recently. I saw it on someone's wrap-up. I think it was Tia and All Her Books mentioned it on her wrap-up, and she really enjoyed it, and I've been wanting to pick it up ever since then. So this one's a psychological thriller, and it's about 2 people who meet up accidentally, and somehow it leads to a murder, which just sounds like fun, and I'm hoping that I'm gonna end up liking it as much as she did. For the next 2 books I plan to picking up, Stephen King is an author that I have been meaning to read for a while now, and I've picked up a couple of his books, but I feel like I picked up the ones that I probably shouldn't have started with because I didn't end up liking them as much as I wanted to, so I wanted to pick up more of his more popular works. So for the first one, I'm hoping to read Pet Semetary, obviously by Stephen King. I don't know very much about this book, but recently I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and a lot of people have really liked it, and I'm guessing it has something to do with people's pets being coming back to life after like being buried or something like that. It's just my guess, and I'm pretty excited for it. The other book that I'm hoping to pick up by him is The Shining. I've had like on my back brain for like over a year now. I haven't seen the movie, by the way. So like if I end up liking the book, I'll probably watch the movie. But I've heard so much about this movie that like I kind of want to pick it up because it's like one of his most famous works. I haven't read it yet. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that one too. And for the last two, I wanted to get some YA and middle grade in. So for my YA horror book that I'm planning on picking up in October is Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake. I don't know very much about this other than it's like been really good, and I really, really love the cover of this book. Like that's like the main reason for me picking it up, but I've heard really good things about it also, and I want to see what it's about. Also, Kendare Blake is an author that I've been interested in reading, so I feel like this one will give me a good idea of whether I might like her work or not. And for middle grade horror, I want to pick up Coraline by Neal Gaiman. So I've read quite a few books by Neal Gaiman now, and I haven't liked most of what I read. One thing that I have noticed that I do really like by him is his middle grade, which is why Coraline has been on my list of the next book to pick up by him, and it's horror, so it just fits in with what I'm trying to do in the month of October, so I'm pretty excited for it, and hopefully I'll end up liking that one as well. So before we go, we have to talk about my poll. So last month's poll was Second Chance TBR, so it's books that have been on my TBR that I didn't get to, so you guys got to choose which one that I would read in October. And the winner is Best Served Cold by Joe Abercrombie. You have no idea how excited I am that this one won the poll. Like, I wanted to read this book so bad. Like, I probably would have ended up reading this book even if it didn't win the poll. Let's just be real, but yes. I'm so excited to finally get to this book. Like, Joe Abercrombie is like one of my favorite new authors that I've read this year, and I want to read all of his stuff, so I'm super excited to get to this one. By the way, this is a standalone novel in the First Law world, which if you don't know anything about that, go read the First Law trilogy. It's amazing, and just, yes, it's worth it. Trust me, it's definitely worth it. So for the poll for this month, I'm gonna be talking about new releases. And this is because the book that wins the poll from this month, I'll be reading in November. And in November, there are tons of new releases that I'm super excited about. Now there's 4 new releases that are not gonna be in this poll that I'm definitely gonna be reading in November, which I will talk about in my November TBR. But for this poll, it's gonna be 5 new releases that are coming out in November that I've like kind of had my eye on, but I don't know whether I wanna read them or not. So I'm putting them in the poll so you guys can choose which one I end up reading. The first book for the poll is Winterwood by Shea Ernshaw. So recently I read The Wicked Deep by Shea Ernshaw and I ended up really liking it. It wasn't like a 5-star book for me or anything like that, but I did really like it, and I want to see more from this author, and I'm really hoping to see this author grow a little bit. So The Wicked Deep, like kind of this atmospheric, kind of dark fantasy novel that had this really great ocean atmosphere, and the Winterwood, I'm hoping that it has kind of like the same thing as the Wicked Deep, but for the forest, obviously, because it's called Winterwood, and I'm pretty excited to see what it is. So the next book is The Fate of the Fallen by Kade. This is the first book in a new high fantasy series. I don't really know anything about it other than like it's a new adult high fantasy series, so I've just like had my eye on it. So you could definitely pick that one if you want me to read it. I would be more than happy to read that one if you want to pick it. The next book on this list is Blood Heir by Emily Wenzhou. So this book actually apparently has a lot of controversy on it. It was originally not supposed to be published because it's not like own voices or whatever, but they decided to publish it anyway. It's a young adult high fantasy, and it's supposed to be like a dark retelling of Anastasia, which just sounds really amazing, and also it has a stunning cover. So I'm really intrigued by this book also, and I definitely have my eye on it. So definitely vote for that one if it's one that you're excited for also. The next book on this list is Call the Hawk Down by Maggie Stiefvater. So I'm actually pretty excited for this one because it's about dreamwalkers sort of, which is kind of like a trope that I'm really interested in. There's like a few other books that are similar that I really like Strange the Dreamer, for example, is about dreams also, and then like there's a big aspect of the Wheel of Time series that is about dreams. So it's a trope that I really enjoy, so I'm excited to see more books like that come out. And Maggie Stiefvater is actually a pretty popular YA author. I haven't read her Raven Boys cycle, but it's definitely been on like my TBR of YA books to read in the future. But I have read Wolves of Mercy Falls trilogy, which I didn't like as much as I wanted to, but I feel like she's one of those authors that like her popularity has definitely grown with each series that she's written. I'm excited to see how well she does with Call the Hawk Down because it's definitely a very interesting concept that I'm excited for. And the last book on this poll is Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward. So again, this is another adult high fantasy that I literally know nothing about, but I like if I see an adult high fantasy coming out, it'll always be on like the back of my mind of, should I read it or should I not? Should I read it or should I not? So that's why it's on this poll also. And in the Goodreads like little blurb, it says perfect for fans of George R. R. Martin, Brent Weeks, and Brandon Sanderson, which are 3 authors that I absolutely love. So yeah, it just seems like it would be right up my alley. So you could definitely vote for that one as well, and I'd be super happy to read it. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I post frequently on this channel, so consider subscribing. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. Also, social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.